Hello everyone, welcome to the Biscuit Brawl Season 5 Qualifiers for Group B, still hosted by Leapfrogs, and we're heading straight into Event 1, block pushing. Rules are the same, hit the block as far as possible, it is not a ball. Heat 1, Cetacean Nation and the Berry Bombers. Cetacean Nation had a great season, getting 5th, nearly podiuming, but choking the auto qualification at the end. But they will beat the Berry Bombers here. Berry Bombers did not have a good season. They were struggling for most of the season. But a last event silver, they managed to get them all the way up to the top 10. Anyway, Cetacean Nation will win this first heat, 12-20 to 12-28. Heat 2, they will swap lanes, and they will try to get a score that is still good. Berry Bombers trying to catch up to Cetacean Nation, and they are leading so far, but Cetacean Nation looks like they're going to catch up, and they are catching up, but the Berry Bombers strike back, and it's very close, but it looks like the Berry Bombers will beat them in this heat, but between the two of them, it looks like the Cetacean Nation overall might have done better, and yeah, 25-11 compared to a 25-14, Cetacean Nation will take the provisional lead. Heat 3, Soapy Bubbles and Soulmates. Soapy Bubbles have yet to place in the bottom half of any tournament they have been in. Soulmates, they got 7th last season in the league. That's cool, I think. Anyway, these teams are very close right now, but it looks like that last Soulmates marble just manages to, like, push it so that it beats the Soapy Bubbles by a significant amount. Well, significant being 4/30ths of a second, so not that significant. But now they will switch heats. Soulmates, Soapy Bubbles, trying to get a run that will beat Cetacean Nation. Anyway, let's see how they'll do. It looks like the Soapy Bubbles have a slight... Nope, Soulmates have taken it back, but the Soapy Bubbles get a push there, and they'll take it back. It's neck and neck, back and forth. And I think the Soapy Bubbles won. It was very close. And yeah, it was the Soapy Bubbles by 1/30th of a second. But it will be the Soulmates that'll take provisional first place, while the Soapy Bubbles will take provisional second. So overall good for both sides. Heat 5 is the Hydrathletes and the Skyjets. Hydrathletes had a terrible season for most of it, but a gold at the last event managed to get them up to 9th. Meanwhile, Skyjets had a very similar story, actually. A gold in the last event got them up to 7th in the league, and that was basically a tie. I have no idea who won that. Apparently it's the Skyjets with a 12:29 compared to a 13 seconds flat for the Hydrathletes. But not very good times for both of them. Very close, but not very good. Heat 6, they'll swap lanes. Skyjets, Hydrathletes will go again. The initial push seems pretty even, but it looks like the Skyjets take a slight lead. And it looks like the Skyjets are extending their lead. Hydrathletes trying to come back, but just unable to. Skyjets will beat the Hydrathletes yet again with a 12:17 compared to a 12:21 for the Hydrathletes. Runs were a lot faster, but still only enough for a provisional 5th and 6th. These are the bottom two currently. Heat 7 is the Dragonfly Dancers and the Bubblegummers. Let's see how they will do here. Dragonfly Dancers, not a great season last time. Bubblegummers actually getting 2nd in the league, which is pretty good. And they are proving their dominance here. That is a huge lead by the Bubblegummers compared to the Dragonfly Dancers, who, frankly, were not that good at all. 12:09 for the Bubblegummers, which is great. 13:02 for the Dragonfly Dancers, which is the opposite of great. It is very bad. But they'll swap lanes. Will the Dragonfly Dancers be able to catch up? We'll have to see. Bubblegummers have to try not to choke this somehow by being horrifically awful. But it looks like they actually do still have the lead over the Dragonfly Dancers. It's very close, but it looks like, no, it's less close now. Bubblegummers do have a pretty significant lead over the Dragonfly Dancers. 12:15 compared to a 12:23. So great for the Bubblegummers, not so much for the Dragonfly Dancers, and that is shown in the provisional placements. P1 for the Bubblegummers, P8 for the Dragonfly Dancers. Now we have the final two teams, the Flight of Fairies and Bookworms. Bookworms should have actually been relegated, but due to the Nimble Vulpines retiring, they were given a second chance. Flight of Fairy got a pretty bad 13th last season, but they are doing amazingly against the Bookworms and beat the Bookworms by a pretty significant margin. And that is what, 12:21? That's not even that good for the Flight of Fairies. But a 13-14 by the Bookworms is absolutely horrendous. That is probably... The Bookworms really need to catch up here. in the final heat. Meanwhile, Flight of Fairy just needed like a decent run. Maybe a really good one. Need a really good run. Possibly to take the lead. It's very close, but it looks much better for the Flight of Fairy. No, it's looking a lot better for the Flight of Fairy now. Another dominant victory by Flight of Fairy over the Bookworms. And it looks like a 12-10 by Flight of Fairy, which is actually a very good run. Bookworms a 13-11. That is provisional second for the Flight of Fairies. I mean, that is just second. Last for the Bookworms. Bubblegummers will win the event, followed by the Flight of Fairies and the Soulmates. 2 rebrands actually getting onto the podium, while the Bookworms, again, will get last. Your bottom 4 provisionally are the Skyjets, Hydra Athletes, Dragonfly Dancers, and Bookworms. A lot of pretty solid teams here. We move on to event 2, that being the Hurdles. Now we'll start with Heat 1 with the Bubblegummers, Soapy Bubbles, Berry Bombers, and Dragonfly Dancers with Chewy, Bubble, Strawberry, and Insect. An all-captains heat, so clearly this should go really well for all of these teams. But it looks like it's Chewy that falls behind early, followed by Insect. Meanwhile, it's between, I think, Bubble and Strawberry. Who will win? Strawberry chokes near the end. Bubble will take the win. Strawberry keeps second. Chewy nearly chokes that, falls to third, while it's Insect that was just very far behind the entire way, and they will fall to last. Great run by the Soapy Bubbles to take provisional first. Heat 2 has Hydro of the Hydra Athletes, Sky of the Skyjets, and Ray of the Soulmates. Some blue here, but also some yellow with the Soulmates. All of them doing pretty well so far, but Hydro, I think that is who fell off there. I think that's Sky not doing well. This does not seem to be the strongest heat. Ray doing poorly. All of them messing up multiple times. I think that's Sky that takes the provisional win out of all of these teams, but that did not look like the strongest run for any of them. Actually manages to be P2 for the Skyjets, P3 for the Hydra Athletes, and P5 for the Soulmates. Not very good by Ray of the Soulmates. But we have the final heat with Reader of the Bookworms, Pixie of Flight of Fairies, and Beluga of Cetacean Nation. Let's see how they'll do. Immediately a fall by, I think that's Reader of the Bookworms, but Flight of Fairy and Cetacean Nation both doing really well. But a stumble by Beluga and a stumble by Flight of Fairy. And it looks like Beluga will still win that heat, but will they win the event? No, they will not. They'll take P2, P3 for the Reader of the Bookworms, and P4 for Pixie of Flight of Fairies. That means that the Soapy Bubbles with Bubble will win the event, followed by Beluga of the Cetacean Nation and Reader of the Bookworms. Flight of Fairies actually tied with, I think, I don't remember the other team. Anyway, your provisional bottom 4 is the Bookworms, Berry Bombers, Hydra Athletes, and Dragonfly Dancers. Dragonfly Dancers only 1 point after 2 events. Not good at all. They really need to make up ground here in the 3rd event. Circle Endurance, Flight of Fairies, Bookworms, Bubblegummers, and Team Stevens will go here. Very pink heat. Lots of pink. I didn't even know this much pink was possible in an event, but lo and behold. These teams so far doing all right. No one is out yet. Flight of Fairies still have 2. Bookworms are out already. Meanwhile, Bubblegummers and Flight of Fairy are still in. Flight of Fairy out, which means that Bubblegummers just have the 2 Team Steven members to outlast. But they are being rough right now. Team Steven, they are not going down without a fight, even though what they do doesn't matter. Bubblegummers end up falling off anyway, and it looks like Team Steven are still in. Team Steven, again, doing another amazing run where they absolutely smoke all the other teams, just like in the Group A qualifiers. They will fall off there, so we can finally get the results. And it's P1 for the Bubblegummers, P2 for Flight of Fairies, and P3 for the Bookworms, who I believe are actually in the relegation zone, so not good for them. Now, Heat 2, we have Cetacean Nation, Soapy Bubbles, Hydra Athletes, and the Dragonfly Dancers. And it looks pretty bad for, I think it's a Soapy Bubbles so far. Soapy Bubbles, actually, wait, no, Skyjets are in a different heat. So, it's hard to say who is doing well right now, who's doing poor. Actually, no, Cetacean Nation doing amazingly. All 4 of their members still in. Oh, there goes one of them right now. I jinxed them. Whoopsie. All these teams doing really good, by the way. Still alive after a long time staying in here. But who will fall first? It will be the Hydrathletes that are out. And I think some other team joined. I think the Soapy Bubbles joined them. Meanwhile, the Dragonfly Dancers with two Cetacean Nation members. Dragonfly Dancers looks like they're gonna fall off, but they will take one of the Cetacean Nation members with them. Dragonfly Dancers are off, but Cetacean Nation, I think that's Whale of Cetacean Nation, that is still in. And it looks like they're just lasting a really long time. But at least it makes sense for them, because they do still have another heat to worry about. But this does look like an amazing run. It's going to be very hard to beat. Cetacean Nation finally finishes. Anyway, it looks like P1 for Cetacean Nation, P2 for the Dragonfly Dancers, P4 and P5 respectively for the Soapy Bubbles and the Hydrathletes. So overall, pretty solid. Now we go to the final heat with Skyjets, Soulmates, Berry Bombers, and Fat Stats. Fat Stats, a very difficult to deal with team here. And it looks like the Berry Bombers... Okay, no, Berry Bombers are in fact out of the event already. That did not look good. Soulmates and Skyjets still have 3 marbles inside. Now only 2. But still, okay, now only 1. But still, it looks very good. Will they be able to beat the Fat Stats? It's very close between the two of them. I say as they're in a circle. But it looks like they will actually barely beat the Fat Stats. It's still only enough for P6, though. Anyway, the Soulmates and the Berry Bombers will take the bottom 2. That was not a good run for any of these teams, even the Fat Stats. But it will be Cetacean Nation who will be winning the event, followed by the Dragonfly Dancers and the Bubblegummers. Dragonfly Dancers really needed that. Berry Bombers getting last with a sub 10 seconds. Anyway, your bottom 4 now are the Soulmates, Bookworms, Hydrathletes, and Berry Bombers. But it's very close, as the top 3 actually have clinched qualification. So it's only between like 7 teams left. Anyway, event 4, the Bouncy House. We have Orca, Clean, River, Vision, Magic, Worm, Sticky, Jet, Sunny, and Blueberry. All fighting for those remaining 3 spots for qualification. It's very close between those bomb teams, by the way. All separated by like just a few points. But it is Sunny of the Soulmates with a huge lead, bouncing a lot there. Blueberry in second right now, but they get passed by 2 marbles, 3, 4, 5. Blueberry, that was not a good run for them. But Sunny of the Soulmates have a huge lead. It's going to be really hard to choke this lead. And it would be really shameful if they do. It looks like the Dragonfly Dancers currently in second, although they are fighting with Cetacean Nation. Soulmates currently in the lead, and it looks like Sunny will win. Flight of Fairy and Dragonfly Dancers both stuck. 2 teams finished. One of them was Cetacean Nation. Skyjets got second, I think. Blueberry, Magic, and some other teams finished. Soapy Bubbles, Hydrathletes, Dragonfly Dancers, and the bottom 2 were the Bookworms and Bubblegummers. Bubblegummers, I believe, already had qualification, but that is awful for the Bookworms, who actually have a pretty good qualification record, despite them being very bad. But it was Sunny who takes the win in the event, followed by Jet and Orca. Meanwhile, Sticky of the Bubblegummers did not have a good run this time, but I believe they've already, again, clinched qualification. Anyway, the 6 teams that qualified for the Biscuit Brawl are the Cetacean Nation, Soapy Bubbles, Flight of Fairies, Soulmates, Skyjets, and Bubblegummers. The Dragonfly Dancers, Berry Bombers, Hydrathletes, and Bookworms all failed. I will see you next time for the first event of the Biscuit Brawl, the block pushing. Until then, this is Rip Biscuit, signing off.